Hello, welcome. Thank you for checking out my video. This is a channel where I make game-inspired mental health tools for people with CPTSD, dissociation, or life overwhelm. Each week I design something new, explain why it helps, and give it away for free. I also share personal knowledge about living with CPTSD and healing from it. Today I'm talking about something new I've made, which I'm calling an emotion tracker. Something I've noticed is that I will start to have good days or bad days, and I won't be able to remember what happened yesterday or the day before to change things for me. That's part of dissociation. Things can get kind of foggy, and your memory gets hazy or cloudy. And so I got to thinking it would be nice if I had some easy way to be able to go back and look at this stuff and also make it easy so that I could have, even on low days when I didn't feel very good, I could still write things down in a very simple way. So that's what this is. I'm going to kind of go over the gist of it, but this is the emotion tracker, and essentially what it is you've got your core emotions, fear, anger, sadness, so on, and a few examples. Now you don't have to use these examples, but they're just something to kind of, like if you're having a bad day and you just need something to pull from, you can pull from these. But you're welcome to use any words you want. And all you need to do really is just in the morning, how do you feel today? Like, did you wake up feeling pretty good? Did you wake up frozen in panic like I did on this day? And then just in the afternoon at some point, and then at the evening, here. So now, a week later, a month later, you can come back here and say, okay, looks like I was having a bad day. I was pretty anxious and I was dissociated. And then down here, you can, if you have the energy, you can write some notes about it. You have like right here, I just thought it was like, you could put like a keyword, like maybe just something to jog your memory so you don't have to read all the text that you've written. Just, oh, okay, this is probably something to do with the car. This is about the heat. And then you could talk a little more about it if you wanted to. But with just this, you have a pretty good idea of what happened a week ago. But the really good thing is that you can start to look for patterns where you could say, okay, looks like I've had all these bad days in a row, and it kind of wiped me out. And then here I go. I had like this creative day where I was like working on things. I didn't feel so anxious. I was a little more optimistic. And you can start to see patterns like, okay, well, what changed in my life? And that's the part that you really want to focus on, is trying to figure out what changed. What changed to make it better, or what changed to make it worse? And that's where these notes come in. Now, you might not be able to, in the moment, be able to figure out what it was that was triggering you at that time, but you may be able to, at the very least, be able to say, okay, it was a really hot day, or I felt trapped, or I felt like people were watching me, or whatever. And then you can start to figure things out based on those clues. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I learned using this. Now I think that this right here is about 5 days worth of notes, but it really is more than that. It's probably about a week and a half of, and I because I didn't have this a week and a half ago. And so I've kind of had to write notes based on my memory, and I've shortened some things, but what I started to notice was that I had been doing pretty good, but then I started to get really anxious and started to get really close to panic attacks, and that was really wearing me down, and I wasn't exactly sure what it was. And what I came to realize was that the heat, because I live in my car and it's getting hot outside, the heat started to cause me to feel trapped. And that, I think, probably triggered something from my past, which was, when I was a kid and I would, there would be these drunk, abusive men that my mom would bring home, or they would live with us, and I would be trapped in my room while they were outside drunk or on drugs and getting angry and yelling and pacing around. And I would be sitting on the floor in my room just waiting for them to come in and hurt me in some way or another. And it brought on this feeling of being helpless and having this fear of death and not being able to do anything about it, not being able to ask for help. And I think that the heat triggered that response in me from childhood, this feeling of this inevitable doom and not having any power to stop it. And so, looking over all this, what I have started to notice is that, and what's helping me is that I've noticed that I do have power. So, here was this day, and I woke up on this day just completely frozen. I was so frozen that I just sat in bed for 30 minutes, and I just could not figure out what to do, how to move. And then I was dissociated and I had anxiety. It was a bad day. And here was another day of just this low level kind of dread and uneasiness. It started to drift into hopelessness. And I was really getting exhausted just from this feeling all the time. All this anxiety and all the adrenaline and cortisol. I think that night I had kind of this one idea. It wasn't a new idea exactly, but something about the way I thought about it was really helpful, was that I thought about this anxiety that I feel. Sometimes I get this panic, and what I really started to think about that night was that it's just a feeling. It doesn't mean that anything is really wrong. And I already knew that, but there was something about the way I thought about it that night that helped. So then the next morning, I got the idea that I could buy these absorbent rags that I could soak with water and then sit in front of my little fan, and that might help cool me down. And just that little act of action, of me trying to address a problem and take action myself and proving to myself that I could affect change, that I could negate the inevitable, I think really started to turn me around. But I was also completely spent from just so much anxiety and so much kind of thoughts of doom. But then the next day, I think this is probably close to the day that I started to work on the tracker. And I had this idea to make the tracker, and the rags were helping to keep me cool, and I felt like I was going to be able to survive. And so I I started working on this project, which also gave me this feeling of I'll be able to turn my life around, or at least take action and work on things. So, like, something that a lot of the time what I do is I basically just dissociate. I consume a lot of media just to like check out of life. And I just isolate and avoid everything in a way to try and regulate my nervous system just so I'm not completely overwhelmed and miserable. And what I'm trying to wrap my head around now is that I don't want to be that way. And I want to take action in my life. And what I want to do is try and make my life and other people's lives better by talking about mental health problems and also coming up with solutions and the little ideas like this that people can use and talk about and try and give people real, tangible things that can improve their life. I'm not going to say that this is going to fix everybody's life overnight, but it's just one thing in a lot of ideas that I have about things that people can use to help regulate themselves and get themselves moving, especially moving whenever they don't have other people to support them or encourage them, when they don't have resources, when they're not even getting their basic needs met. There's not a whole lot of stuff out there for people in that dire situation, and that's kind of where I want to focus my attention on, is trying to help them, and if I can help them, then I can probably help anybody. So anyway, that is the gist of this tracker. This current version that I have has this addition. This is the latest version. And part of what I want to do is not just make these little trackers or journal entry things, but I want to make it part of a game that is a kind of a slice of life, relaxed game where you can, explore this world and kind of read a nice, gentle story and something to kind of relax to and look forward to. And so, there's going to be like a journal, and this emotion tracker would be one piece of many that would go into the journal. And in there, you would, when you do that, when you do tasks in the journal, like track your emotions, you earn points, and the points you can spend in the game. And, like for this, it's just like you can mark down, okay, I've done this. And these go onto a point tracker, which I'm still working on, but that'll probably be maybe the next thing I release. But, for now, there's not a game out just yet. I'm still working on it. But for now, you, at the very least, you can see I'm earning points. It's something that you can look at and say, I am doing something to make my life better. I'm tracking this. I'm thinking about it. And then you can visually see, okay, I've got 3 points. I've got 20 points, whatever. So that's that. Now, in a minute or two, I'm going to show you how to use you can print this out. You can use it in Obsidian, or you can use it in Goodnotes or things like that. So there's lots of different ways you can use this depending on what your particular way of journaling is. But in order to get this, just go to my Buy Me a Coffee page. And this is the home page. If you ever wanted to support the work I do, you can make a donation here. But go to the extras. And the only product I've got right now is the emotion tracker. Click on that. And then go down here. And it's free. I'm not going to make things that cost anything, because as a very poor person myself, I don't want to gatekeep mental health and healing, it's all going to be free. And, if anybody is able to support it, that would be amazing. But if you're not, then just come over here and get help for yourself. But you just go here and you just fill that out and then click the pay button, and then it'll open up a button. You can download these. It's very simple. I'll leave a link to this in the description for this video. Okay, the last thing is you can use this in Goodnotes, which I have here. And all you need to do is just import the PDF. And then you'll be able to write in anything you want. And you can do your notes. You can do your checkboxes. And then just copy this and paste it. And you can have as many as you want. And you can organize this into a book in Goodnotes. Now, another thing you can do is print it out, and you can just do the same exact thing you're doing in Goodnotes, is just writing it down. Okay, so that's about it. I feel like this was a longer one. Hopefully it was not too rambly. Hopefully I got to the point okay. I hope this is helpful to somebody. I'd love to hear if you use it. I'd love to hear your feedback on it. Okay, as always, you can leave a comment, you can subscribe. Those things don't cost anything, but it helps me. If you're able to help, you can make donations at my Buy Me a Coffee. I'll leave a link in the video description. I hope you guys have a good day, and I will see you next week with another video. Bye.